Hello, my name is Rose, and 10 years ago I was diagnosed with schizoaffective bipolar disorder and postpartum psychosis. After my diagnosis, I was finally able to receive the help I so desperately needed, and my new life began. Recovery has taken years, and it will be a lifetime of maintenance, troubleshooting, and learning. There is no cure for what I have, and that's okay. I've learned to manage, and I wanted to share my story in hopes that it resonates with others and that I can reach out and connect with the community and make a small difference. I have tried to succeed in so many endeavors in my life, and I have failed at almost every one. I have learned to accept my limitations while also giving myself grace and understanding that if I had been diagnosed, received, and accepted the help I so desperately needed early on in my life, things could have been so different. This is the reality so many of us face. Diagnosis for schizoaffective bipolar is usually not made until between 16 and 30 years old, and by that time, the damage has already been done. I am no exception. I was 29 when I received my diagnosis. I dropped out of school when I was 15. I completed training and got my hairdressing license, but was never able to do hair professionally due to anxiety. I attempted to go to community college several times and had to drop out each time. The last and final time was after I was pregnant with my son, but only after I had taken out student loans. Years later, they were forgiven due to being disabled and being on disability. I didn't know at the time, but I found out after trying to return to school last year that if I return to school, my loans will be reinstated. It was heartbreaking. I decided it wasn't in my best interest to attempt this, even though I desperately wish I had stayed in school and went to college instead of dropping out when I was 15. I was groomed as a teenager by a man in his mid-20s and stayed in a long-term abusive, drug and alcohol-fueled relationship until I was 18. I ruined every relationship time and time again due to PTSD and undiagnosed symptoms of my mental illness, hypersexuality, avoidant behavior, codependent and obsessive tendencies. The list goes on and on. I was 27 when I found out I was pregnant and made the decision to have my son. This was a turning point in my life, and I had no idea to what extent yet. After the birth of my son, I suffered from severe postpartum depression and slipped into a full-blown psychotic episode that lasted years until I was finally hospitalized and then 2 years later hospitalized again. That last hospitalization, something clicked in my brain, and the reality of the situation broke through my delusions. I was very sick, and I needed help. The government wasn't out to get me. I wasn't being followed or watched. I wasn't saving the world or experiencing stigmata. I wasn't the reincarnation of Jesus or Lilith or the Antichrist. I wasn't psychic, and I didn't have special powers. I was going to lose my son, my family, and my life if I didn't come back to reality. And I finally became med compliant and stayed on my antipsychotics long enough to stabilize, and the healing began. Psychosis feels like a bad acid trip you can't wake up from, and it's terrifying, chaotic, surreal, dehumanizing, and at the same time euphoric. And you alternate between feeling like a god and feeling the lowest trash that's ever existed, sometimes simultaneously, which makes no sense, but psychosis doesn't make sense. It's pure chaos with glimmers of clarity through the storm. My diagnosis was devastating, but also empowered me to understand why I had been the way I was my whole life. The visions, the emotions, the delusions and obsessions, the failures. I wasn't a failure. I was in pain and I needed help, and I finally got the help I needed. I've been very lucky. Not everyone responds to meds as well as I have. Not everyone has access to care and support like I had, and it breaks my heart. I see a psychiatrist, a counselor. I take my meds every day. I became sober. I practice CBT, and I read and research everything I can about recovery and living with schizoaffective bipolar disorder, the good and the bad. And the puzzle pieces finally came together to make a complete picture. I failed as a student, as a musician, as an artist, as a hairdresser, as so many things, but I haven't failed as a mother. Even at my worst, I never quit fighting for my son, and I always took care of him. He is the light of my life, and his shine has been my guiding light through the darkest days. Since I've been in recovery and received my diagnosis, I bought a house through the USDA with my mom. I provide for my son. We have a full fridge, a roof over our heads, bills are paid, needs are met, and I will keep fighting for a future for me and for my son. I also had incredible support from my mom, who has stood by my side since the beginning and never quit fighting for me. She was the one who helped me navigate my disability process, my diagnosis, my hospitalizations. She nursed me back to health when I was literally dying, stood by me when everyone else turned their back on me, and has been my biggest cheerleader throughout my recovery and beyond. Hi, Mom. I know she's here. She watches all my videos. I love you, Mom. I wouldn't be here without her. This is my life, and this is just a small part of my story. I'm a survivor just like so many others, and we all have a story, and it deserves to be heard. A diagnosis is not the end. It is the beginning of our story. If any of this resonates with you and you would like to hear more about recovery and living with schizoaffective bipolar disorder, let me know in the comments. And hit that subscribe and like button if you want to support me on this journey. Thank you for watching, and remember, you are loved. Reach out, speak up, and you are not alone, and neither am I.